Hi, you're watching Investor Insights, and in this video I want to discuss a little bit about finding out things for yourself in the real world. Now, if you're a trader or an investor, more often than not, you're inundated with data from the various governments, policymakers, the central banks, the government statistical offices. But most of that data, I can tell you now, is either compiled by a bunch of idiots or it's just fictional. And the best way for you to have a gauge into the economy, especially your local economy, is to actually go out there and look at things for yourself. And for one, look at inflation numbers that are coming out. A few weeks ago, government data released CPI numbers on the quarter to be 0.6% quarter on quarter or 2.4% year on year. All you have to do is go outside and look at petrol prices and how much they've risen. And petrol prices being such a huge gauge into inflation shouldn't be discounted. So I don't know what government methodology is employed in working out inflation data, but it can't be right. You walk into a supermarket and you look at your bill and you compare it to a bill that you've had from several months ago, and I'm sure the cost of food and just groceries is growing up. Everything is going up. And it's not going up by 2 or 3%. That's understating the bleeding obvious. You walk into any shopping centres, even on shopping night, and the car parks are just empty. I've never had it so good. You just walk in there, you don't waste half an hour looking for a parking space. Man, it's great. And I mean, you look at employment. Everybody says that unemployment is getting lower. Although, mind you, the latest data released last month showed unemployment at its highest in almost a decade in Australia. But things aren't improving. I was looking at the budget deficit. I mean, they were looking at a deficit of $1 billion just a while back to 18 billion to now being 30 billion. The mining sector is just imploding. Anything outside of the mining sector, it's not a recession, it's a depression. So when you go out there and you look at, even for argument's sake, if you still buy newspapers, I mean, they are a hell of a lot lighter because there's less job ads in them. I can't emphasize how important it is to find things out for yourself, to go out there in the real world and look at things like prices, employment, inflation, the health of the local economy. You look at how many shops have been closed down. And I agree if you want to jump in and say, but that's just one locality. That locality may be hit by some unfortunate event or a road bypass off a freeway or whatever. But the truth is that the local economy, your capital city, whatever you choose to view as a gauge into the country's economy, more often than not, they're pretty much all the same. And I know it's hard to compare one town to another or one city to another or one state to another, but you can get a feel of how well things are going, especially with inflation. inflation doesn't creep up in just one place and not in another. It's pretty consistent. So next time you're out and about, pay closer attention to the world around you. And if you see skyrocketing prices, if you look at your power bills and how much that they're skyrocketing, and you look at petrol prices, food prices, and rent prices, but yet a whole bunch of empty shop fronts, the economy can't be doing well. And yet the government, the policymakers are out there smiling and telling you otherwise. You make up your own mind. Because if you were to trade or invest based on what these policymakers are telling you, you're going to get crushed. The stock market is a forward-looking mechanism. And I agree that right now the stock market's being distorted by all the stimulus that's going around. In the long term, reality will catch up with it, or it will catch up with reality. And there's a lot of losses to be made. So until we meet next time, I wish you many happy returns and prosperous trading.